What kind of heart problems do asymptomatic and mildly ill COVID-19 patients have?
So there's been new literature out in the last maybe, 3 to 6 weeks, I would say. There was one very elite article by Eric Topol, one of my friends and colleagues from the Scripps Clinic, and Rahul, you probably know him well. And Eric had eloquently pointed out that, nearly a third of patients that have even the mildest symptoms will have a contractable, like a long-standing comorbid type of an event with chronic fatigue, chronic, even mild symptoms of shortness of breath, heart failure. And eventually, we're still studying that. We don't know, perhaps 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, we'll know more about it, whether they will have COVID-related cardiomyopathy. And that's pretty serious. And so how do we check that? Eloquently, it put it in this article saying that, of course, if it's a fancy center or a large center that does a lot of MRIs, MRI is the best way to check this. Next to that, the common cardiologist like myself or a community cardiologist like myself would basically check it in the office with an echocardiogram or serial echocardiography procedures to see where we are, and perhaps a stress test to see where we are with the functional capacity of the heart. That's how we would check that. But certainly we're still learning. That's the plan.
So are these long-term issues that we need to be concerned about?
Absolutely. And I think we don't know the answer to that. And I think it's too early, but I think you have to kind of take that seriously. I follow every single one of my COVID patients, ever since they've actually got the bug, regardless of the age. Of course, age matters and immune status matters. Pre-existing conditions matter, like the ones that I talked about and that Rahul had talked about. But certainly, I think that has to be taken into consideration. And of course, certain changes in diet, exercise, reconditioning your body. It's kind of like the flu. People, if you get recurrent flus or if you get recurrent autoimmune type of disorder, you can still come out of that if you have if you change your immune status by changing your diet, changing your, modified plan of activity and so on and so forth. Rahul, please interject here. I'm getting too excited about this.
No, I think everything you're saying is very spot on and very relevant. And, I encourage all my patients, regardless of, whether there is an active issue or resolved cardiac issue, to have a cardiologist that you see regularly, and hopefully you're able to find someone who provides as comprehensive care as Dr. Suri does. But I encourage all of you who are either yourself or your family members have cardiac problems, establish care with a cardiologist, because it's important. A lot of what Sam is saying is focused on the preventative aspect.